Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Kalista and this is the Can't Shut Up podcast. If you have watched me before, you know that this is new. I have never done a podcast before. So I want to get into kind of how I started all of this, but I know if you're here to fix your outlook on change, which is the whole point of this video, skip here and you will get right to it. But if you're just here for a good yap session, you just kind of want to hear someone talk about, what's going on in their life, stay a little bit and you don't need to skip ahead and you can just listen to how I came up with this whole podcast and how I got here and just like some things that have been going on in my life. So at the beginning of the year, I was making more weekly vlogs and really trying to grind those out, and I kind of got to a point where it didn't really feel authentic, and also I was getting sick a lot of the time, so I wasn't really going out and doing things that were interesting or that I wanted to vlog because I was at home all the time and it was winter and it just I don't know, it just wasn't enjoyable for me anymore, which is the whole reason that I even started making videos in the first place. And weekly videos honestly were kind of hard to maintain because I wanted them to be interesting, I wanted to go do things, but it just wasn't suitable for me at the time. I definitely want to get back into vlogging in that kind of sense, but in the time of being sick, I realized that I love to talk. I love to yap. All that I've been doing is sending audio messages to my friends, sending Snapchat videos to my friends. I am yapping 23 out of 24 hours a day. It is constant. With that, it kind of got me pondering, and I was like, wait, why don't I just do podcast style videos that I can pump out easier, because girl, get me talking and I won't stop. So I kind of decided that I wanted to do more podcasty type videos. I know everyone and their mother is doing a podcast, so nothing new, but it was just something that really interested me and gave me a way to get my creative outlet out there, get into, my video editing, all the things that I like to do, without having to push myself to do things that I didn't want to do, if that makes sense. So I decided all of that, and I was like, wait, if I'm having a podcast, I should have a name. So I did a lot of researching to try and find one that hasn't been taken yet, and Can't Shut Up is what I came up with, because girl, I literally can't shut up. And that is how Can't Shut Up was born. I am very excited about this. I definitely want to try and post weekly, but I think just to get me in the swing of things, I'm going to post every 2 weeks for now, just to see how I do, what I can do. I'm also working 2 jobs and have a life and do a lot of things, so that's why I wanted to give myself a little bit of leeway and not get disappointed or feel like I'm not doing enough if I'm not posting weekly, because at the end of the day, life is so short and who gives a fuck? Literally, who cares? So this is Can't Shut Up, and I'm so excited, and I just can't wait for this topic that we have at hand. It's definitely one that's been on my mind a lot lately because a lot in my life has been changing, and I personally am not someone who does too well with change. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, but it's always been something that's been kind of hard for me unless I am full well aware of the change that's happening. You know what I mean? If it's planned out, if I know oh, well, I'm moving on this day, I'm ready for the change. You know what I mean? But if something happens out of the ordinary that just kind of flips my world around, that is so hard for me to manage. And I've kind of in that have found a lot of things that have helped me deal with that kind of change, and that's just what I wanted to talk about today. Before we get into it, I did want to have a little segment of Can't Shut Up where I talk about things that I can't shut up about. So this week, I cannot shut up about Addison Rae's music. I am listening to it every single day, every single minute of every single day. It makes me feel so alive and such a city girl, and I don't know, there's just something about it that feels so cutesy but also so sexy at the same time, and it's just exactly what I want to listen to. So loving Addison Rae, we love her, and that's what I can't shut up about this week. Okay, so let's get to the topic at hand. Let's talk about how to fix your point of view on change. I'm very much a planner. I'm very much someone that loves to know exactly what's going to happen and exactly when it's going to happen. Obviously, that's not life. Obviously, there's so many times in life where things happen that you have no control over, and sometimes for what feels like the worst. And the 2 things that have helped me get through that are these 2 phrases. So, to genuinely believe that everything happens for a reason. this has taken obviously a lot, because there's so many things in life that you're like, why the hell would that even happen? Why would this terrible thing happen to me? I'm a good person, I'm this, I'm that. But at least in my case, I've always found a reason for that to happen. And the next little phrase that kind of gets me through it ties along with it as well, is that sometimes the universe, which that can mean anything, that can mean God to you, that can mean the universe, that can mean literally nothing if you don't believe in anything, whatever suits you. But sometimes the universe takes things away in the most gut-wrenching, horrible way possible, so that way you either learn from it or you can never go back to it. I have a few examples of, real life situations that have happened, and how that's really helped me so much to understand, like, okay, yes, this did happen for a reason, even though it sucked, even though it felt so terrible in the moment. I now can see that, like, that had to happen, or I would have stayed in that situation for the rest of my life. So the first example that I have, I used to work at this terrible job, literally awful. It was too much labor, not enough pay. There was definitely some sketchy business going on, and there was just nothing we could do about it. And I was working 5 days a week, more if I could. I was barely making rent. I was working so hard, and I was just in such a state of depression that all I was doing was working and resting. I did not have a social life. I didn't want to be around anyone. All I wanted to do was work and rest, and I wanted to spend the least amount of money possible. So I would, trigger warning, skip meals. Never condoning that, by the way, but that was the case for me at that time, because I wanted to save money, because I literally had such little money to survive in the city. I was going on interviews after interviews after interviews and not getting anything, because I was so desperate to not work there anymore that I'm sure everyone who interviewed me could sense that, and nobody really wants to work with that, you know what I mean? I just needed to get out so badly, but I didn't want to quit because I barely had enough money as it is. I couldn't just quit and then have nothing, but at the same time, I couldn't even look for another job because I was working so much and I was so exhausted all of the time. So I ended up getting fired from that job in a way that I could never go back to that job ever again. And it was the worst feeling in the world. I felt like a failure. I felt like I did something so incredibly wrong, and that there was, I'm this terrible person, all the things that come when you're dealt with rejection. But I ended up getting fired, right? And even saying it today, it still gives me like a little feeling in my stomach, because it just sucks so bad. Like, that feeling is so terrible. So I'm not at that job anymore. And I do feel a sense of relief on top of a sense of dread, because I'm like, okay, how am I supposed to pay my bills? How am I supposed to do anything? But I was a part of a babysitting company that I would do on the side sometimes, but because I was so focused on my other job, I barely was doing any babysitting because I was so tired all the time. I was like, I can't take care of a kid right now. Like, I am exhausted, and like I need to make more money. I need to make more money. So I have another babysitting gig with this family that I had been babysitting with, here and there, while I was working at this other job. And a couple weeks after I stopped being at that job, my babysitting family asked me if I would want to babysit for this other family. And I always, when I was working that other job, I always was like, oh, I can't do babysitting. Like, it's not enough money. It's going to be too much work. Like, and I love kids. Do not get me wrong. I adore babies and children. Like, I'm an oldest sibling. I always grew up in the church, like, taking care of kids. And that's just always been a part of me. But in New York City, that felt like so much hassle. And I would hear my friends talk about their babysitting experiences and how they'd have to walk them from here to there, and they'd have to do this and they'd have to do this. And I was like, I just don't know if I have the energy to do that. But obviously, when this babysitting family asked me, I was like, yeah, I will take anything. Like, I need a job so bad. Simultaneously, I'm trying to find a job that like is more full-time, you know what I mean? But I start babysitting with this family, and I, to this day, am still babysitting with them. I adore them. The little girl that I babysit for is the cutest thing in the world. I love the parents. It couldn't have came at a better time. And I ended up being financially stable just off of babysitting for them for a while. I still am. I now since have gotten another job, and now I have more funds than I've ever experienced living in the city, and I can actually live my life. But at the same time, I'm not overworking myself. My new job doesn't overwork me and use my labor to such an extent that I'm exhausted and my body hurts all the time, or that I'm so tired that I just like have to go to sleep immediately after I'm done. And same with babysitting. It's so chill and I love it. And you know, I have such a connection with this family and everything now that none of that could have happened if I didn't get fired. I never would have quit my other job to do babysitting full time because I never would have thought it was sustainable. I never would have thought that I could work 3 days a week and make a living off of that. I never in a million years thought that that was possible for me, but the universe knew that it was. And so the universe took that job away from me in the most heart-wrenching way that I couldn't go back and be like, no, please, I need my job, I need my job. Yeah, so that is just one example. Another example is, it's a little more vague, but in relationships or friendships or family dynamics, any kind of relationship, whether that's romantic or friendship or family, sometimes you find yourself in such a toxic situation that there's so many feelings and so many memories and so many things built up that you don't feel like you can leave, or you don't feel like it's right to leave, but you know that you're not being treated right. You know what I mean? And the universe sometimes will have something happen, whether that's that person saying or doing something that you can never look at them the same way again, whether that's, you know, the universe making one of you have to move away, whether that's the universe making one of you not be able to be in proximity anymore. There's so many, I could list 1,010,000 different ways of how the universe could take you away from people, but that would be very boring. But in a very broad sense, there's so many ways that can happen, and it sucks in the moment. It sucks. It feels so terrible to lose someone who was so special to you, who you have so many memories with, you have so many feelings for, and you know, eventually, a lot of the times you can realize after that's said and done, after you can't go back to them anymore, you can sit there and realize like, oh my God, I'm so glad that that's not even an option for me anymore, because I would still be there. I would still be miserable with that person. I would still be having the same habits and engaged in this toxic activity, whether that's from them and just accepting it for myself, or whether that's me also giving them toxicness. You know what I mean? There's just so many ways that if you truly believe that everything happens for a reason, you can see it once you're out of it. You know what I mean? It's not easy to do. And like, absolutely let you feel your feelings. Absolutely do what you need to do in order to get to that place of acceptance of, okay, this is what it is, and I'm better off for it. Because you don't want to be surrounded by people who are not actually making you happy and who are making you try and figure out things or do things that you're not comfortable with, or whatever it may be. And the universe will take that away from you. And it sucks. It does suck, but you can see at the end that like, okay, I needed that to happen. I really did need that to happen. My last example is actually a more recent one that it kind of inspired why I wanted to talk about this today, because as I mentioned earlier, if you listened to me talking about how Can't Shut Up came to be, I have been very sick this year. Every 3 weeks I was getting sick and nobody knew what it was. Eventually I figured it out. I can do a whole nother situation on that. I don't want to bore you with the details, but to sum it up a little bit, I have a very serious acid reflux problem that has come into my sinuses and has altered the way that I'm living my life now. I have a very different diet than I used to, and I have a lot of different habits that I've had to start doing because I want to get better and I want this to go away. I don't want this to be the rest of my life. So I used to eat so much. My eating habits before figuring out all of this health issue shit were so bad. I was eating so much fried food, eating out all the time, having lots of sweets. And I was just always someone who was like, yeah, if I want that, I'm gonna have it. I never, even though, you know, I'm sure we all have body issues, we all have, you know, different insecurities about our body and stuff, and I for sure had them, but I was very much the kind of girl that was like, okay, but if my body wants chocolate, I'm gonna eat chocolate. If my body wants McDonald's, I'm gonna have McDonald's, because you only live once, you know what I mean? But I did, in the past year, start realizing, like, I kind of want to be healthier. Like, I kind of want to have healthier habits, and I started eating more salads and just being more aware of what I was eating, not limiting myself in any way of like, well, I can't have that, I shouldn't have that, that's so bad for me, because that's just not the kind of mindset that I enjoyed having. But it was very hard for me to figure out my relationship with food, and I also would kind of use food as a crutch all the time. So like, let's say I just ate dinner, 20 minutes later I get a little bit of a headache. My instant thought is, okay, I need to drink water and I need to eat, because that's what's going to cure my headache. When like, the headache could be from anything. That's just one example of how I would kind of just use food and snacking for every problem that I was having 24/7. With all of this health stuff that I've been going through, I have had to completely rework my diet, and I can't have fried foods, I can't have chocolate, I can barely have sweets. It's very, very limiting what I'm able to eat. And for the past week, it's been so hard. It's been like, every time I make something, I think it tastes so gross and I don't want to eat it, and then I'm mad because I can't enjoy my food anymore. And I have since found different recipes and different ways to enjoy food, and I am at a happier place with it now. But at the time, it was like, oh my god, like, I can't even enjoy my life, like, I can't do anything. And I was talking about it with my roommate and my bestie, Andrea, and she was kind of saying, like, I wonder if this, you know, as much as it sucks, I wonder if this is like good for you, because, you know, you've always wanted to change your habits, change your diets. And even though in the moment I was just like so angry that this was happening to me, it did make me think about it, and I was like, yeah, it is good for me, because I'm eating breakfast, which I never was really a breakfast eater before, but now I have medication that I have to take in the morning and I have to eat breakfast. So boom, now I'm doing it, and I am creating healthier habits. I'm eating so many more vegetables. I'm eating to fuel me rather than to fuel the boredom or the fear or the whatever it may be, or just like because I want to, you know what I mean? And absolutely, I still have my snacks, I still, at what I can eat, I still do, but it's not centering my life so much in the same way. Obviously, it is in a way of like, okay, well, what can I eat? I need to figure this out. But I'm creating better and new habits of, oh, look at how easy it is to make vegetables. Oh, look at how easy it is to just have this little snack instead of 70 chips that are not going to serve me and aren't actually going to fill me up. You know what I mean? And I think that I really needed to hear that from her of, yeah, the universe took this food habit stuff away in the worst way possible. I have been so down bad about it, and it's been really hard. But at the end of it, I'm going to have way better habits and new things that I've learned about myself and about eating and about everything that goes into it. So obviously it's still a journey. I'm still figuring it all out, but if I can keep that in mind of like, okay, this had to happen for a reason. I'm going to get healthy again, and these foods are going to help me. And then maybe I'll end up loving these foods in the future and I'll just want to eat them all the time. You know what I mean? That helps me a lot to not feel so down about, oh, I can't eat anything, I can't do anything, I can't do this, I can't do that. And trying to look at it in a more optimistic way of like, okay, yes, I can't do that, but what can I do? What can I find? What am I able to do? I hope that this video provided a little different perspective for you about change and maybe gave you some insight or some new ways to kind of look at life and things that are going on in your life. They have definitely helped me in times of struggle, and I personally do love to give advice. So any advice that I can give, I'm so happy to give it. And if it helps you in any way, that is all that I can ask for. Thank you so much for tuning into this first episode of Can't Shut Up with Calista Jade. I I'm so thrilled for this journey and to just keep yapping with you guys and have a great time. I hope you have a fabulous week, and I'll see you next time.